Hi, hi, hi. Good evening, everyone. How are you all doing? Good evening, good evening, good evening. So, today is another exciting day. How was your day? I hope you had so much fun in the office or at home or at your business. I hope you had so much fun. So, we started our 5 day family reset session yesterday. And yesterday was just all shades of awesome because I actually went into explaining what the family reset is, why it's important for families to reset, come together and have a reset session. And I also spoke about I spoke about visioning, having a vision for the family, and also how to create your core values. Now, for those of you that were not here yesterday, the video is on my YouTube page. You can go to my YouTube page and you will definitely get the video. So today is another awesome day. Today we're going to day two, and day two is all about how we can review and also reset our systems, our routines, and our structures in the home. So, for those of you who are just joining and you're wondering who's this yuppie woman, my name is Oluwatoyin Ogunkomi. I'm a family psychologist. I work with families. I work with adolescents. I create systems. I create structures for parents on how to live a thriving life, and I'm also the convener of the Smart Parenting Child and Adolescent Mental Health Summit. This is a forum whereby we have parents, we have caregivers, we have educators, we have anyone that is in charge of raising a child come together to talk. We discuss everything that has to do with their mental health. So you are welcome to this day's session. So, like I said, today is all about how we can review, and reset our family structures, our families' routines, and also our family system. Now, before I go into how we can actually do this, I would start by actually defining what these items are. So, the first I would like to look at is what is a routine. So, when you talk about routines, these are regular, repeated activities that shape the daily family life. And they are activities that would answer questions like, what do we do every day and when do we do these things? So examples of routines, morning routines, mealtime routines, homework, bedtime routines, screen time routines, and prayer time, and also weekend schedule. That is what is known as routines. Now, when we talk of structures involves the rules, the roles, and boundaries that organize how your family function. They answer the questions to who is responsible for what and what are the limits in the home. So examples of structures in the home includes your parenting role, house rules, expectations, discipline guidelines, and decision making processes. This morning, so one of the things I do in my home is at the beginning of every year, I sit with my children and I tell them these are my expectations for you for this year, for the particular year. So for this year, I did this with my daughter and I wrote out my expectations for her. Now, for parents, it's one thing for you to have expectations, it's one thing for you to have guidelines, to have rules in the home. But if you don't have a system around how these guidelines or how these expectations should be carried out, most times those expectations are not carried out. And that's why we have system. Now, when we talk of system, what are systems? Systems are basically the patterns of interactions and the processes that connect family members together. And this is what keeps your house running smoothly. And they answer questions like, oh, how do we handle things? So, for example, communication system, how do we communicate in a home? When do we have our open house things? Or how do we resolve conflicts in the home? Or what about financial planning or emotional support patterns? All these are important for your family. Why do we have routines? Why are you meant to have structures? Why are you meant to have systems? They create predictability and emotional safety. Children and adolescents feel safe when they know what is expected of them per time. But when there is no predictability, there is anxiety, there's also emotional outbursts. So that's why you need to have routines in your home. That's why you need to have structures and systems in your home, because it creates predictability and also gives your children emotional safety. Another reason we need to have this in the home is that it reduces chaos and also reduces your stress as parents. Because when you have clear routines, when you have clear systems, it will minimize the constant argument, constant conflict, constant shouting in the home. And it makes your parenting easy and calm and more effective. For those of you who were around during the time we did that parenting effectively with emotional intelligence. This was one of the things we spoke about. Having routines and structures and systems in the home, it calms you down and you will not have to be shouting all the time as parents. Instead of you shouting and screaming as parents all the time, you have created systems in the house that will make your home to run effectively. Now, the next thing I will ask is for those of us who are watching, you can just go to the comment section, type your name, tell us where you're watching from, and let's know where you're at, Let's know who we are having around here. Now, I'm going to go straight into how we can review and how we can reset. What I started by defining what routines are, defining what systems are, and also defining what structures are in the home and the reason they're important for us as family. Right now, I'm going to go into how we can actually do this reset. What do we need to do? So, yesterday I spoke about, creating, for those who've not created a family vision, you need to have a vision. You need to know where you're going to. Where is that place you want to take your children to? What future have you envisaged or have you envisioned for your children? What kind of adults do you want your children to be? Now, today is us assessing your current family situation. Are you on the way to where you want your children to go to? Have you created the right expectations for them to achieve the goal, the vision you want them to achieve? And that's what today is about. And today is just about observation and not judgment. Today is about you taking stock of your current family system, taking stock of your current family routines and patterns to identify what is working and to identify what is not working, what needs adjustment. And the first step is awareness. What do you need to change? What is not working? What part of your routine is stressful? What system is not functional? What structure is not making sense? Today is all about that. And the reason we need to do this is that it would help you to identify area of growth. It will also help you to be more compassionate and to explore, to be more curious about, okay, what is happening, what is not happening, what are we not doing right. And it helps you to explore the routines and the patterns that is creating stress or conflict or disconnection in your family. And like I said when I started, I said routines are day-to-day activities, things you do daily that ensures your family runs effectively. So in terms of reviewing, what do? You need to map out your current system. Write out what are the things you're doing now. What are the invincible scaffold? What are those things that you're doing to is that's either making your house run smoothly or is contributing to chaos in your home. The moment you're able to map out all this, so what do you do in the mornings, what do you do in the afternoons, what do you do in the evenings, map out everything, and when you do this, it will definitely help you in the process of reset. So the first thing I said is you have to do assess yourself. What is happening? What are we not doing right? And one of the ways you can actually do this is by creating an audit, a family audit. And this is one of the things we actually do at the parenting support system. We create family systems audit. We audit your systems for you to help you know if these systems are functional or that the systems are not functional. The moment you can audit your system, your family system, guess it's just like it's just like the way we audit our systems maybe your IT system, your an auditor will, or your finances, your or even your systems in the office. When I talk about system, not necessarily the laptop or computer, but system, how your office is running. The way we have an auditor that comes to, audit, okay, how are you guys doing here? What is happening here? Who's in charge of this? Is this person that is in charge of this doing what he or she is expected? Is the same way we help family in auditing the system. And we have a document that we use at the parenting support system organization. We have a document that we created that will help you to identify your current reality, and also help you to know if your current reality is taking you to that promised land that we spoke about yesterday. So I'm just going to ask a few questions to so these are part of the questions we ask when we do our family audit. So the first thing is your morning routine. Is how functional is your morning routine? Do you guys wake up at the right time? Is your morning chaotic? Is your house chaotic in the morning? Is everybody just going helter skelter? Or you have a smooth system that runs? If you don't have a smooth system that runs, then you need to reset what you're currently doing. Another area of your family you need to look at is also the midday for those who are at home, maybe during the week. What happens during the midday? What happens in the afternoon, after school activities? What routines have you put in place for your children? And also the evening routines. Who is in charge of cleanup? Who is in charge of dinner? What happens during bedtime? What happens during connection time? How do you wind down as a family? So I'm going to ask a few questions that could also help you in terms of auditing your family system. So the first question is, what part of the day consistently runs smoothly for you in your home? Is it the mornings? Is it the afternoons, or is it the evenings? Then second question is, where do you experience regular conflict or stress? Is it the mornings? Is it the afternoons, or is it in the evenings? Who is responsible for the activities? Who is responsible for sharing activities? Who is responsible for the maybe the sitting room, the cleaning? Who's responsible for the cleaning? Who's responsible for finances? Who's responsible for ensuring that food is in the house? Have you done this? This is part of what we do in the family audit when we audit systems for families. Then also, you also need to look at do you guys have unstructured family time? Do you have time where nobody, is your home structured in terms of the time? Or do you guys just do things anyhow? Do you guys wake up at 10 o'clock today, tomorrow you wake up at 9, the next day you go to bed? Your children don't go to bed on time. What is it that is not working? It's very important that you are able to audit this. And that's what today is all about. Day two is all about how you can review, audit your system, and reset your system. Now, the next question I'll ask is, where do we feel most disconnected? Where and when? Do you feel disconnected? Where it could be in the sitting room, maybe everybody they're all on their phone, or during dining when we're meant to be eating, everybody's on their phone, or where do you feel disconnected the most? Then next is when. Is it in the mornings or in the evenings? What time do you feel disconnected? Then what would you like to do, or what could you do to make your daily life feel lighter and more fun? This is another thing we can do as parents when it comes to the home. What do I need to do to ensure my family runs smoothly? What do I need to do to ensure that my home, there's this peace in my home? Everything runs smoothly. What do I need to do? The another question you can ask is, in the what is causing friction amongst my family members? Is it between yourself and your spouse? Is it between the children and the parents? Or is it between the children and the children as siblings? Well, when you know all this is you just doing a simple audit. Like I said, family audit, we have a worksheet that we use for family members when they sign in for our programs. We help them to audit their family, and this really works. By the time we're done doing this, I always hear, "Oh my goodness, I didn't know this is what I should have done. Oh my, I now know why my home runs I now know why there's chaos in my home, or I now know, and as a family psychologist, my major job is to help families to connect, not just parents and children, spouses, siblings, to ensure that the family runs smoothly. So the next thing we're going to look at now is we're going to look at excuse me, we're going to look at how so we're going to look at some warning signs to know if there's a breakdown in your family system. I know when I say your family needs a reset, it's because maybe there's you've noticed a breakdown in the system, or you've noticed a breakdown in the connection, or you've noticed that there's increased conflict over any little thing. You guys are always at loggerheads, conflicting, or you guys are avoiding each other in the home, or there's this chronic rush every morning. Everybody just rushing, and you're like, "Ah, can't we have a peaceful morning? Must our morning always be chaotic?" I remember when I started my work as in the family system, there was a particular family I worked with there, So the woman was like, she was always overwhelmed. Every time she was overwhelmed. She was just, she was just complaining. And one of the things I asked her to do was, I said, okay, well, do you know what? Today, I want you to write out everything that happens in your house from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. By the time she wrote it out, she was, even in the process of writing it out, she was it was like a clarity call for her. She just understood that, oh my goodness, I'm doing so much in little time. That's why I feel so overwhelmed. And by the time I created a system with her, her home was running smoothly. And even without her being in the home, there are certain things that the children could actually do. So I was able to, she learned how to delegate more. She learned how to focus and prioritize what was important, and what was not important, she had to leave it by the side. So as family members, you need a reset when you notice that there's always conflict in your home, where you guys don't see eye to eye, where there's a chronic rush, you guys are always rushing, there's always stress, or when there's frequent meltdown or emotional dysregulation, when you know that everybody's just, you guys are not connected. Despite living together, you notice that you guys are not connected. Or when parents are experiencing burnout, yes, this is a time to do a reset. And when I started yesterday, I said reset is not only for the beginning of the year. You can have a family reset when you notice that there's a breakdown in the home. And when you're doing your reset, if you remember when I spoke yesterday, I said this is a period that all the family members should come together and have conversation, ask questions. What do you think is not working? Why do you think this thing is not working? What do you think we can do better? And this also comes to your system, when you have, so remember when I defined what the system is, what the routine, and also what your structures are. If you're not able to define these in the home, it will be very difficult for your home to run smoothly. So, as we are joining, please, I'd like you to tell us where you're joining from, and let's have this discussion together. So, when I started, I defined what a system is, I define what structures are and routines, and also explain the importance of having this in the home, because it helps your home to function very well. I said it creates predictability and emotional safety. I said it reduces chaos and parenting stress. It supports discipline without power struggle. Because when everybody knows what is expected of them, everybody knows their expectations, what the expectation is, it will guide them, to guide the behaviors of the children, also behaviors of the adults in the home, and there'll be no need of shouting, yelling, or even punishment. And it builds responsibilities in your children, makes your children more responsible and independent. Children that learn time management, children that are accountable, children learn self-discipline through consistent routines and clearly defined roles. If your children can learn these things, it makes them responsible individuals and independent individuals. And also, when you talk of systems and structures and routines in the home, it strengthens the family connection. You have an healthy system where you can communicate. You have a healthy system whereby when there's a conflict, you guys know how to resolve conflicts. You have an healthy system whereby you guys can foster mutual respect. This really, really helps the family. And when your family functions well, well functioning family system also acts as a protective factor against behavioral problems, anxiety, and emotional dysregulation. When I started, I said when there's predictability in the home, it takes away anxiety from the children. It takes away emotional outbursts from the children. And it's very, very important that you have routines. Routines create rhythms in the home. Structures create order in the home, while systems create the flow in the home. And the moment you can align all these three together, guess what? There'll be peace in your home, there'll be clarity in the home, and there'll be connection in the home. I remember when I started, I said that yesterday we spoke about the vision, where do you want a family to go to? Now, today is us identifying or us reviewing if we're actually on the path to where we said we wanted our family to go to. And the only way you can take your family members to where you want them to go to is if you can create structures, routines, and systems in the home. The moment you do this, guess what? Your home runs really, really smooth. Like, it takes away chaos, again, chaos, like I said, and it helps you to run a home that is peaceful. So as we're joining, I said we can write where we're watching from. I notice we have people who've joined, but please write where you're watching from. It will also encourage us to know the geographical location of our viewers. So if you have any question about what I've spoken about so far, please just type it in the comment section and I will definitely go over and I will also answer the questions. So back to my conversation, I was talking about family systems. I also spoke about why family systems break down. So now that we know what a family system is, you know what family routines are, you know what family routines are, family systems are. This is the time to have that conversation have a family meeting, speak with your family members, acknowledge without blame what is not working, tell them what you've noticed, tell them or ask them what do you think could be done, and let them be able to speak up. Allow your children to be able to speak up. Ask them what do they feel, why do they feel the home is dysfunctional, or why do you feel the home is not running as smoothly as you've expected. Let them come, and please, when you're having this conversation with your children, let it be a free zone where they can say things they want to say without, because when your children can't be honest to tell you what is happening, it's as if you're just, there's a wound and and instead of you to allow the wound to heal, you're just covering it with pancake and all that. Pancake, can you imagine? Pancake is powder. Oh, they used to call brown powder in the olden days. Oh my goodness. so family system, family structure. So today is all about assessing your current family system. Is it working for you? Is it functional? If it's not functional, it's okay. You can, and that's why we have a reset. Go back and identify what is not working and go back to the drawing board. What do we need to do? I remember I said we also offer the service of family system audit. We audit family systems for family members, and we also guide parents or family members in creating a proper system structure that fits their own home. And one of the things you need to know as in parents or family members is that what will be functional for your own home might not be functional for another person. So you need to know the peculiarity of your home. Like in my own home now, it's just myself, my husband, and my daughter. So everything we are doing, So unlike when the home was full, when I had the other boys in the home, there were so many things we did there. So we had so many people to distribute certain responsibilities now. Now it's just my daughter, and each time, she's like, "Oh, mommy, I'm the only one doing everything," like that. So your home, your system, your structure, your routine it will be peculiar to your own home. So you need to know what is happening in your own house, and you should be able to create systems in alignment to what is happening in your own home. So let me check. Do we have questions? Do we have questions? Do we have questions? Oh, I can't see any question here. Okay, so that's good. So let me just continue. So remember, you need to create your family vision. You need to have values. You need to have systems and structures and routine that would align with your family system, with your family values and your family vision, so that your home will run smoothly. If you do not have this, it's going to affect how your home runs. So, do I have questions here? Let me see. No question. Let me see. Okay, no question, no question, no question. Okay, okay. So let me go over those questions I asked that you need to, questions you can use in assessing your in assessing or reviewing your family system. I said that what part of your home runs smoothly, what part of your day runs smoothly, where do you have conflict, regular conflict or stress, where and what time do you have regular conflict in the home, who is responsible for responsibilities, and are the responsibilities fairly distributed. I mentioned something like my home now is just three of us. So if I imagine giving all the responsibility to my daughter, so maybe all the things my sons used to do, and now telling my daughter to be the only one doing that, that means the responsibility is not fairly distributed. So responsibility should be fairly distributed. Do you have enough unstructured family time? Do you have time in the home whereby everybody is just doing anything without there's no structure? You need to also identify that. Your routine in the home, have your children outgrown it? Have you outgrown the routine? So, for example, there are certain routines I did when my children were younger. We can't do those things again now because they're older, So, the routine you have in the home right now, have your children outgrown them? How do you guys communicate? What is communication pattern in the home? Who's in charge of finances? How do you resolve conflict in the home? These are structures, these are systems and structures, these are things you need to put in place to help your home run effectively in 2026. So I'll be stopping here. Do we have any question? Tomorrow is another interesting. Tomorrow, I love tomorrow's topic. Tomorrow is about creating goals for the family and also creating goals for individuals in the family. I'm really, really looking forward to tomorrow's session. Like I said, 5 days. What I did was this 5 days of me having one day to talk about everything. I decided to break it down into smaller, bit-sized videos so that you can understand what we're talking about, and also you can, instead of me rushing it over and not being able to talk about it properly. So remember, let me just do a recap. Designing effective family structure involves you having a well-defined routine. Not just that, your children should know what is expected of them. Your children should know what is expected of them, when those things are expected of them, and why those things are expected of them. And like I said, this reduces anxiety, and this would also increase cooperation in the home. When your children have routine, it reduces decision fatigue. You're always thinking like, yeah, what are we going? So especially when it comes to the meal time, for mothers that are on this call, always thinking of what will we eat tomorrow now. Oh my goodness. Meal time is something that can give one headache. But when you have a timetable, you know what to eat on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, in the afternoon, in the evening, it takes away that decision fatigue from you. Morning routine, we need to create a consistent sequence that gets everybody ready without stress. Wake up time, breakfast time, getting ready, gathering belongings, departure time, vision. One of the things I did for my daughter was she's like a visual person, so she has a visual checklist, something she can look at every morning to know what is expected of her. Because when they don't know what is expected of them, it can cause anxiety and can also create stress in the home. When they come back from school, you need to design a pattern for them. Very, very important. Between 3 to 6, what is expected of them? And that's what I did with my daughter too. She has a pattern when she comes back from school, what she's meant to do, when she's meant to drop her clothes, when she's meant to arrange her room, her bags, lesson teacher, homework time, activity time, downtime, when she can watch TV or, do things for her own self. Also, the time for her to read a book, this would really, really help. And like I said, it takes away chaos. Then, evening wind down. You need to also establish a routine that will calm down. One of the things we do when I work with, especially young adolescents, when they see they can't sleep, I do what we call a sleep hygiene. I prepare a sleep hygiene schedule for them. And it's what is simply is sleep hygiene. What you're meant to do before you go to bed to calm you down, to relax you, to tell your brain that I'm about to unwind, and this really helps them. It's important that you have this. Then also when it comes to chore distribution, ensure that it's age appropriate, ensure that you could have like a responsibility chart where everybody knows what is expected of them, and ensure that you distribute household chores fairly. Don't do it in such a way that one person feels, oh, I'm doing too much, and the person feels it's unfair. My mom does not love me, my dad does not love me, like that. And it's also important as a family that you could have like a command center, maybe like the kitchen, where all the schedules could be pasted, right? And you can also rotate chores, create reward system. For if you want to create reward system, you can have checklists. There are so many things you can do when it comes to having an effective designing an effective family structure, so many things. But like I said, in our organization we also help organization we help parents to create this kind of structure. We help them. We do the first of all, we do a family audit to know what is working and what is not working. Then we also work with you to create that system and structure to ensure your home runs smoothly. So I'll be stopping here. Thank you so, so much. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you so much. Thank you so, so much. Thank you so, so much. I really appreciate that. So if you have any comments, like I said, drop your comment before I go. If you don't have any comments, see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we're talking about goal setting. And like I said, I love goal setting so, so much. Have a nice evening, everyone. Bye.